I can't
That's
imagine
crazy.
why.
He stepped in. He stepped in though. He did a good job.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what was your reaction overall when he's got to come into the game?
Yeah, obviously, it happened last year. Guys step up and do their job, and Danny's one of those guys who, we always looked at, like, not just, obviously Danny's could also play the quarterback, come in and do his job, and just have full trust and belief in him in terms of what he's doing.
Is there any weird deja vu, like you mentioned, it happens again?
I wouldn't say deja vu, but I'm definitely proud of Danny, and, at any role, anything can happen, That's the crazy thing about the game. So we're just happy for him, and he did a good job filling in.
We kind of saw in practice sometimes. He's got some moxie. Joe Brenner called it swagger, and he's unapologetic about it. Is that fun just seeing him go out and do his thing?
Yeah, definitely. Especially when you got it from a guy like that. A guy who's obviously in charge of the offense. It rubs off on other people. So it's a nice feeling to know that he's a guy with a little bit of chip on the shoulder. You know what I mean? And a little bit of swagger.
Yeah. When you're pass rushing against a guy like you were tonight, who can move around. I mean, how much are you balancing something like tonight, trying to get after him versus setting the edge?
Yeah. It was a little bit more conservative on my side because I understood the guy's pretty slippery. So I would say that was the biggest focal point for us, making sure we're keeping good rush lanes. He got out a few times, which was gonna happen, but I think overall we did a pretty good job.
Like you guys were all over the place too. I mean, I know that preventing the run, Coach Strauss has said that was a big thing going into this season.
Yeah.
But you really hardly felt like guys were getting to the second level. What do you have to say about the front line, the defensive line, how those guys performed tonight?
Yeah, I think that was an emphasis, and it's going to be an emphasis for us going forward. It's just controlling the line of scrimmage and stopping the run. That was our one thing that we said we had to do coming into this game. Obviously, 5 new starters on the offensive line, so. It was definitely critical for us to dominate that area.
Sebastian, I asked Coach Fickle down there, about your group, and he said kind of the biggest thing that stands out about your outside linebackers is the unselfishness. You guys don't care who starts necessarily. You're always supporting each other.
Yeah.
Just has that always been the case, and how does that kind of help you guys push each other to that team success?
Yeah, no doubt. It's genuine. You know what I mean? You got a group of guys who all are versatile in their own ways, have different skill sets, and we really, really, really value each other. We love each other, in that room, and I've never been a part of something so close. So it's a nice feeling when it translates on the field as well.
And I know that we spoke at fall camp, and you said you really kind of feeling comfortable in this spot. You pushed yourself. How did the coaches and Coach Mitchell kind of push you to kind of a larger role this year? What did you feel like you added to your game?
Yeah, just stepping into that, that leadership role, understanding that this is a older group, but there's still young guys, that are in that room that we were looking to blossom and use as the season kind of rolls on. So obviously that was going to be a big thing for me, just staying in those guys' ears.
First home shutout in I think just under 3 years. What type of pride did you take in that as a unit, but also just the whole defense?
No doubt. I mean, any team you're playing on the defensive side of the ball, a shutout in college football is a hard thing to do. So we take pride in that, and I think the guys it was a collective effort, and I think that's what it takes to do things like a shutout. So
Your side of the ball held a 0-9 on third down tonight.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
No, I didn't. No,
I mean, what's your reaction to that?
It's good. You know what I mean? You want to get up on third down, keep them behind the sticks. That's the first thing. But again, I think the reason why that happened was because first and second down, CNN downs, we controlled them. And we were able to put ourselves in good situations, and I think just the game plan itself really helped us. We knew what we were doing when we got into those packages, when it came to third down time.
One of the things that Coach Fickle mentioned downstairs is that, especially you guys on the edges, do a really good job adjusting in-game to some of the longer meshes and some of the QB run stuff that maybe was a little different than what was expected.
Yeah.
What was the key to doing that between drives or even play to play, just adjusting what you saw and maybe that you didn't know you were going to see?
Yeah, no, understanding the back alignment, we know that there was a really good chance that they were going to read us on the edges this week, a lot of zone reads. So we were prepared to play sideline to sideline. And I think overall we did a pretty good job.
One of the things Coach Fickle said was that in years past that might have been a struggle, having to come in and adjust on the fly like that.
Yeah.
But tonight he didn't see that.
Yeah.
What do you think is different, or what could you tell was a little bit different about your guys up front that wasn't a challenge?
Yeah, I think it speaks to the players in the room. Anytime that you could put you know, those guys in those situations and say, like, look, you're going to be red this week, understanding that you're going to be, you know, in those critical situations, and then taking that and owning it, and understand you got to be, you know, very disciplined.
You guys end up with 3 sacks tonight against a guy that's really hard to sack. And
Yeah.
You probably could have had some more if he wasn't as
Sure.
elusive. Only had 2 3-sack games last season. Like, what do you think it shows about this defense and the evolution of it with the different guys, like you mentioned, and different guys playing different roles?
Yeah, I'm gonna give credit to the coaches because, you know, we came in, executed the game plan. You never want to come in trying to force anything, but you play within the defense and you will be rewarded. It's kind of one of those things, and I think tonight some guys got rewarded.
Last year was a tough one. Tonight the game doesn't start off the greatest. I think
Sure.
it's 3-0. Just can't speak to being able to pull this win out, and what, as a player, from a mental standpoint, what does it do for you, if anything, just to be able to kind of grind through a tough game, you know, put a losing streak behind you?
Yeah, no, the highs and lows, you know what I mean? Understanding that, you know, sometimes the offense may struggle, sometimes me may struggle, and it's just about complementary football, something that Coach Vic preaches. Understanding that, you know, we're going to have to pick up their half sometimes, they're going to have to pick up our half sometimes. So I think collectively just playing together, doing what we can do, and then obviously controlling what we can control and going from there.
There are a lot of times where your defense might play great and have a shutout for 3.5 quarters, and then all of a sudden, you know, it's hard to finish.
It is. Yeah.
And just can you speak to the way this defense finished the game today to really to close out the shutout?
I think that's a critical thing you just said in terms of the word finish. One thing that we want to do this year is finish, especially in the fourth quarter. That's when we have to be at our best, and it's something that we put an emphasis on. So I think we showed that tonight, that, you know, we're going to close it out, you know, even when it may be looking a little bit rough, you know. So
it felt like that close it out. I know you all were playing like jump around sometimes during fall camp into that closing session.
Sure.
I felt like there was more energy at that close of the third quarter tonight in particular.
Yeah.
Was that like an emphasis in that session? Is no, we want to own this.
Yeah.
We want to own this part of Wisconsin football inside Camp Randall tonight.
Energy, man. Energy. That's what, you know, the defense feeds off of. You know what I mean? Whether it's 0-0, 49-0, regardless of what the score is, like, look, we come out and we need to have energy. You know, that's our thing. So we got to control it.
And to piggyback off that, even when there were times where you guys weren't getting the sack or the tackle for loss, you know, there were a lot of opportunities where quarter fin was under pressure. You talk about energy. When you're having those situations, how much does that add, or how much is that of an energy boost does that provide, even if you're not getting the tackle? You know, even if you're not getting the tackle for a loss and the guy's kind of scrambling around there, does that help?
Yeah, like I said, it happened a few times tonight where, you know, he got out and we just played the next down. You know what I mean? Going to the next down, understanding that, look, like, we just got to keep executing, playing within the defense, because at the end of the day, that's all it's about, just continuous execution, you know.
Thanks, Sebastian.
Appreciate you.